So we just rounded out a decade, um, 10 years, entertainment, movies, video games, television, and with every decade rounded out comes lists. There's always the top 10, the best of the decade, and one list in particular. Well, I mean, I don't want to say it surprised me, but it surprised me a little bit. And by surprise me, I think it's kind of bullshit. But Sony came out with their top 10 games of the decade a couple weeks ago or so. And I just this list just I just don't see it. Now, this particular list is mostly contrived of PlayStation exclusive games, which makes sense. It's PlayStation's top 10 of the decade. But I guess we'll start at the top. So the voted game of the decade was The Last of Us. I don't think that that's a wrong choice. I don't. I think The Last of Us is a great game. I think it came at the perfect time. I think it told a fantastic story. And like most story driven games, they kind of fall flat on the gameplay aspect. Like they're making too many damn movies now. But The Last of Us had a really good mix of the two. The game was fun to play and the story was engaging. And I cared about these characters. Well, not really Ellie. I didn't really care about Ellie. It's all about Joel, baby. It's all about Joel. Do I think that it should have been voted game of the decade? No. But the thing about these lists are you got to kind of put your personal bias to the side because everybody has their own top 10 list, your own personal opinion. And these lists kind of look at all the games from everybody's perspective, and everybody, mass majority, what mass majority thinks about games. And I think The Last of Us is a good choice. What I don't think is a good choice is God of War at number 2. Are you fucking kidding me? God of War at number 2, best game of the decade? I played that game, okay? I'm glad I played that game. I will play the next one when it comes out. But do I think that it deserves the second spot? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That game, oh my god. That's one of those games where like I got on like the fucking ass half of it and I just kept asking myself, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? I'm so done playing this, but I've made it this far, so I got to keep going. I got to finish it. But when is it going to end? That is not a good mindset to be in when I'm playing a game. I should never think that, not a once when I'm playing through a game. I thought that almost the majority. It was uninspired, I thought the combat for that game was just clunky and boring and just I don't know. I just don't see how it got voted at number 2. I just don't see it. Number 3 I think is well deserved. I'm actually in the middle of playing this game. Well, I've restarted this game like 4 times, but this time I'm going to finish it. I'm going to actually do it. Number 3 spot is The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. That is more than deserving. That game, since it came out, has been renowned as one of the greatest open world RPG games ever made. I've enjoyed my time with it all 4 times I've restarted it. I don't really have anything bad to say about that game. I also don't really have too much of an opinion because I haven't really played it yet. But I do absolutely believe that number 3 is a solid spot and a solid choice for that game. Number 4, Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, there's no way that Grand Theft Auto 5 wasn't going to make the top 10 list. I think number 4 is a bit steep. Okay, top 5 best games of the decade? How can Grand Theft Auto 5 be in the top 5 spots, game of the decade, when Grand Theft Auto 5 isn't even the best Grand Theft Auto game? Not even close to the best Grand Theft Auto game. It's got to be specifically for that online bullshit that I never really got into, but that's got to be what it. I mean, the game is still topping top downloaded of the month charts. At the game's like 7 years old, and it's still one of the most downloaded games of all time. So I get it. People are playing it. People love it. But number four, that's nah. Number five, Red Dead Redemption 2. I think that's a little. I mean, it's right in the middle. It's top five, but it's not on the bottom five. It's right in the middle. I think that's a little generous. I enjoyed Red Dead Redemption 2. I did. It's a really good game. I mean, Rockstar doesn't really make shitty games, in my opinion, for the most part. Um, it was a great experience, great story, great characters, written extremely well. The most expensive game ever made to date. The detail of that world is insanity. Everybody plays through it, they're going to have a different experience every time. It's just one of those games. But it was boring as fuck. Boring! It was boring. The amount of awesome story moment parts were not awesome enough to make up for the slow goddamn trudge to get to those moments. The game is great. I really enjoyed it, but it is boring as fuck. So top five is kind of meeting you halfway. It's not the worst, it's not the best, it's right in the middle. Okay, I'll give you that one. Number 6, Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim. There's no way Skyrim was not going to make a list of top 10 best of the decade. The game's been ported to every... I'm pretty sure I can play it on my fridge. I mean, it's been ported to everything. You can play it on anything now. People love this game. Once again, it's not my favorite Elder Scrolls game. I think it's the worst. Some would argue that Oblivion is the worst. And Oblivion's not great if you go back and play it now. But I think it's better than Skyrim. I had a lot more fun with it than Skyrim. That being said, I mean, I've dumped hundreds of hours into Skyrim, but I just think it's like one of those games that like everybody's played. And there are some people who really love it, but I think most people just kind of say, yeah, Skyrim's okay, just because they wasted so much time playing it. Top 6, or not top 6, but 6th place, I think it should be a little lower on the list. At number 7, we got Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, I don't really have too much of an opinion on this one. I know the game was like, when it came out, it was like the highest selling PlayStation exclusive game of all time. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. I never really played it. I played like a couple hours of it, and it just seemed like a rinse and repeat open world fetch quest kind of thing, and I'm too busy for that kind of shit. So, don't really have an opinion. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad. I'm just saying what I played of it wasn't enough to keep me interested, but I can see why people really love it. Number 8. Now, this is the biggest... This is what pisses me off the most about the list. I mean, I'm almost surprised it even made the list. At number 8, are you fucking kidding me, is Bloodborne. Bloodborne at number 8 of the top 10 greatest games of the decade. Did anybody actually play Bloodborne? Because if you played Bloodborne, there's no fucking way that you would vote it at number 8. Bloodborne is my hands down, is my favorite game of this console generation. It has not gotten better than that. And everybody's gonna be like, well, The Last of Us was better. The Last of Us came out on PlayStation 3. They've reported it to PlayStation 4. It did not come out on this generation. It got re-released on this generation. So for that sake of argument, that shit doesn't count to me, okay? Bloodborne came out on PlayStation 4, and it is the best PlayStation 4 exclusive game that they have released to date. Can't change my mind. Don't even want you to try to change my mind. Can't change my mind. Bloodborne at number 8 is criminal. It is criminal. Number 9 is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. I'm surprised this game even made top 10. I mean, I played it. I think it was kind of, I mean, it's good. It's Uncharted. I don't think it really needed to be made. Um, there's nothing about the story that I really cared about, and then they try to, end it like on a happy note, like maybe they can pass the torch off to Nathan's daughter that he has with fucking what's her face. Just didn't care. Just didn't care about the story. And Uncharted's gameplay, if you play the first three Uncharted, there's nothing new there. It's just all about the set pieces and how fast they can go. And the game was beautiful, I'll tell you that. The game was gorgeous when it came out. I do remember stopping a few times and just kind of looking at the scene and being like, man, this is really beautiful. They made a beautiful game. But the best of the decade, no, not a chance. Not a chance. And number 10, I think this is, it's deserved, as Marvel Spider-Man. I also played that game. Um, it's a really good Spider-Man game. I don't really play too many superhero games, so I don't really have too much to go off of. But I enjoyed my time with Marvel Spider-Man. I do. I did. I shouldn't say I do. I said I did. But it had some lackluster moments. Kind of some things that kind of broke, the flow of the game, and which is never good in my opinion. I don't think the flow of any game should be broken. So therefore, that's why I wouldn't put it in a best of list. But I think 10 is deserved. I think that's fair. Um, and then they have like the other 10, like the runner ups. Persona 5 is at 11. I played a lot of Persona 5. I didn't finish it. I really enjoyed that game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best of. I think it's got the best style. I enjoyed the style a lot. Dark Souls, I think, should be. Well, if it were to be higher on the list, that would mean that Bloodborne would be lower, which I don't want because I think Bloodborne is the best of all the Soulsborne games. I just think it's the best. But I think Dark Souls definitely deserves a little more recognition because it pretty much single-handedly created an entire kind of subgenre that is so relevant in video games nowadays. There was, I can't really say there was no game like Dark Souls when it came out because Dark Souls isn't like a hard game, it's just a game, but we were just so coddled with, hold my hand, walk me here, that game came out, didn't have any of that, and everybody's like, oh, it's so hard. No, it's just a video game. It's just a video game. But it definitely opened people's eyes and showed them, what games can actually be like, difficult-wise, and I think it deserves a little more recognition. I think 12th place as a runner-up, it should be at like 11, I think. But 12th, not bad. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, fuck off. Don't even want to talk about Call of Duty. Never played Nier Automata, which is at number 14. A lot of people I know who are into that game think this is absolutely criminal. I don't know enough to talk about it, so I'm going to move right on along. Runner-up 15 is Death Stranding. I'm glad it's a runner-up because I have my own opinions about Death Stranding. I have not finished it, even though it's the one game I've been waiting to play like for 3 years, and I played like a good 20 hours of it, and I just decided that I'm never going to finish it because it got boring as shit. But the game definitely deserves some recognition because I never played a game like that ever before. There's never been a game structured that way, and I think that's something special, and I appreciate Kojima and his entire studio really taking the chance on trying to make something new because there's not enough of that anymore. Everything's so rinse and repeat of everything else I've played that it was really refreshing to see something just that brand new. Runner-up 16 is the first Red Dead Redemption. I don't even want to get into details. That's well-deserved. That's a great game. 17's Mass Effect 2. Anybody who's played Mass Effect 2 probably understands why this is a runner-up at number 17. It is a fantastic game. Great story. I think the reason it's only at number 17 is because everybody's still a little butthurt about the end of 3. It's got a bit of a tarnished reputation, I suppose. Runner-up 18's Fortnite. Never played it. Never going to. No, it's not a get good kind of situation. It's just I don't give a shit about Fortnite. Did not hop on the train when it left the station. Will not be hopping on now. Don't dig the Battle Royale aspect, but Fortnite rocked the world with what it does, and I think it deserves respect for that, even though I don't give a fuck about the game and I'm never going to play it. Number 19 runner-up is Batman Arkham City. Is that like, I don't even remember that one, so whatever. A Batman game made the list. I guess that's really the takeaway here. And the runner-up at number 20 is the remake of Resident Evil 2, which I think is extremely deserved. That was a fucking phenomenal game. It was probably my game of the year for last year. I was very excited about it and was very worried at the same time because Resident Evil 2, the original, is one of my favorite games of all time. I've played it 1,000 times. And whenever they're remaking something, you're automatically gonna compare it to the source material, and Capcom took this remake and just said this is going to be its own thing and you're going to love it, and I absolutely did. It was not your rinse and repeat kind of remake. It's a completely different experience. If you haven't played Resident Evil 2, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic game. And so that's the list. That's the top 10 and the 10 follow-ups. And I just think it's a little wonky. I don't agree with some of these decisions or votes, I guess. I guess this was voted on. I don't think like the people who work at PlayStation like just wrote this list. I think they took votes from like Twitter and Facebook and whatever else. But my big takeaway from this is the people who voted Bloodborne in at number 8, you need to get your fucking heads checked. Okay? You need to get your fucking heads checked. Or, I don't know, maybe actually play the game. I feel like maybe a lot of people didn't play it or something. I don't know. But number 8 it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Top 5 at least. Top 5 at least. That's it. That's all I got to say about this top 10 list. I'm sure you guys have your own opinions. Everybody has their own opinion. But I just think this list is wonky, and can't wait to see what the list looks like in another 10 years.